So, we've all had challenges in our life. We all want to beat the impossible. As an industry, we're very competitive. We want to take things to the next level. But our first speaker is someone who's done that, who is a world record holder, a world record breaker. So, without further ado, let's invite our first speaker to the stage, Kevin Jorgeson.
Two rock climbers made history this past week in California's Yosemite National Park.
After 19 days climbing and living on the side of the Don Wall,
when Kevin Jorgeson and Tommy Caldwell.
They're the first to accomplish that lofty goal.
This was the moment that history was made when Kevin Jorgeson and Tommy Caldwell achieved something for so long thought impossible.
It kind of points to larger themes that everybody can relate to, you know, dreaming big. Everyone has their own Don Wall.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Charlie, and thank you everyone that's put on all the hard work for organizing this event and for everyone for being here. If you can't tell, I'm a climber. And what's ironic is that I'm not here because I climbed the Don Wall. I'm here because you found out that I climbed the Don Wall. I'm here because your role in media helped share this story far and wide. And what I'd like to do, seeing as we're at the Festival of Media and we're starting this next two-day event, I'd like to share the inside story of this experience and analyze a little bit the role that media played in this whole thing, and also just quickly share a couple of the things that I really took away from this really life-changing experience. It'd be fair to wonder why the hell you would even do this thing to begin with. And it really starts in 2007 with this guy. This is my climbing partner, Tommy Caldwell. And in 2007, he, poor guy, was suffering from a really painful divorce. And he needed something to take his mind off of this experience. So he needed something to sink his teeth into. And he was going to escape this pain or die trying. His two options in his head were free solo El Cap, which was certain death, or dive into a new project. So luckily, he decided to dive into a new project, and he started to look for the next frontier of free climbing on El Cap. Now, what you have to understand about Tommy is that he has more experience climbing on El Cap than anybody. He spent 18 years of his life climbing all the existing lines on this wall. So he, more than anyone, knew the line between possible and impossible for free climbing on El Cap. And he looked at the Don Wall, and it was this huge, audacious goal that was far beyond his current capability, and he just threw himself into it fully. Meanwhile, a couple hours to the south and a little bit to the east, I'm a 25-year-old kid bouldering. And bouldering is the kind of the ropeless counterpart to big wall free climbing. And my expertise at the time was highball bouldering. My passion was looking for lines like this, looking for the biggest, most beautiful boulders I could find and establishing climbs on them. So this was taken January 9th, 2009, and no sooner than standing on top of this boulder for the first time, realizing my dream project, I was empty. I was instantly empty and needing something else. Shortly after I finished this climb, a documentary was released that featured this climb, but it also featured Tommy's early attempts on the Don Wall. And I was much more interested in his section of the documentary than my own. And at the end of that segment that featured Tommy on the wall, there was this closing scene that's kind of etched into my memory. And it's Tommy's voice over a sunset. And it's Tommy saying, and this is 2009, when we didn't even know where the line was. He didn't even know where the line was going to go. He was just looking at that wall and thinking maybe it's possible. He says, I don't know if I can do this thing, but I want to plant the seed for the next generation to come and inspire us all. And here I was, just finished my project, looking for something new, and it sure sounded like an invitation. So I did what any ambitious 25-year-old would do. I threw my hat in the ring. I was completely unqualified. On paper, there was no reason that Tommy should have said yes to taking me on as a partner on this wall, but he did. And he did it because he realized that there was no way that he could do this thing alone. I really believe that bold ideas that are fueled by passion are rarely achieved alone, and the Dawn Wall is no exception to that. Tommy knew that this was beyond what he could do by himself. So he took a risk on a guy that had no big wall climbing experience, but a lot of ambition, and we started to team up. And an amazing thing happened when we started spending weeks and weeks and months and years working together on this thing. We learned what our strengths and weaknesses were. I didn't know what Tommy's personality was ahead of time, and neither did he know anything about me. What's kind of interesting about our partnership is that we were strangers prior to this. We knew each other by reputation, but that was it. So over time, I got to learn how optimistic Tommy is. Tommy's the most optimistic guy you'll ever meet, where I'm more of like a data-driven realist, and Tommy's the big vision guy, where I'm all about the details of something. And what we realized is that our strengths together were amplified and our weaknesses were neutralized, and we were able to achieve much more together than we were ever going to be able to do alone. So we started chipping away. And for 50 years, the Dawn Wall was considered impossible. This was aid climbers' territory. You know, the only guys that were on this side of the wall were hammering pitons and just pulling on their gear. Nobody free climbed on this side of El Cap. But the perception of impossible was Tommy and I's biggest opportunity, because all we had to do was zoom out beyond the boundary of what everyone else thought was possible at the time to reveal so much more opportunity for what could be done for free climbing and pushing that standard forward. So on January 27th, or sorry, let's see, that was December 27th of last year, Tommy and I were standing at the base of El Cap with 6 years of experience under our belt, banging our heads against the wall, trying to do this thing, and preparing for our final push. And the first week went amazing. This thing is 32 pitches or rope lengths long, and in the first week we covered about half of it. We got through the first 14 pitches. And the first week was a breeze. It was almost too good to be true. The momentum was on our side, and it was just washing us right up the wall. Every day that we went climbing, we would send the pitches that we needed to do for the day. But then day 8 came along, and day 8 brought us to the second hardest pitch on the wall, which is pitch 15. And this is where I got stuck for a week. And everything really came to a head at this moment. The whole dream started to come crashing down, really. Because if I couldn't get through this section, I was just going to have to throw in the towel and support Tommy to the top of the wall. So this obstacle was really an opportunity for me to realize how bad I wanted it. You know, clearly, I wanted to climb the Dawn Wall with Tommy. I wouldn't have invested 350 days of time on the wall over the course of 6 years if I didn't want to do it. But when you're put in the situation to have such